Hey guys, I am on a rooftop right now in a location near the base of the Himalayas. For those of you that have been following me on Facebook or in my newsletter, you have an idea more of what I'm doing. Or you can talk to Sonia. She knows exactly what it is that I'm doing right now. For security reasons, I am not going to tell you my location, but I am in the process of trekking Bibles into the Himalayas. So right now, this is my beautiful view. We are on the very last day of our equipping on the ground training before we start taking our Bibles into the Himalayas. Tomorrow we have, I think, an 8-hour bus ride, and then we will begin our trek. We'll be trekking until, I think we're trekking for 12 days up into the Himalayas to various different villages just to share the love of Jesus and to hand out Bibles. And we're really, really excited to do this. So what's on my heart to share with you today is something actually that I've encountered a lot while I've been here, and something ironically that the Lord placed on my heart back in the fall of this last year. And that ultimately is, why don't we ask God for the more? And when the Lord originally brought this up to me, he brought to mind the story of Joash, king of Israel, and you can find this in 2 Samuel 13:14 through 19 if you want to look it up. But ultimately what happens is that Joash is the king of Israel at this time. Elisha is the prophet, and he is actually right about to die. This is the last thing that happens before he passes away. And ultimately, Joash comes to Elisha because Elisha is about to die, and he's just weeping and crying out because he's walked with him for such a long time. And Elisha talks to him about what's going to happen next, and so ultimately he tells him to pull back this bow as a prophetic act and shoot this arrow, and so he does. And then Elisha instructs him to take the arrows and strike them on the ground, and Joash takes them and he strikes them on the ground 3 times. And Elisha kind of like rebukes him, and he says, had you done it, multiple times, had you done it, I think he says 5 or 6 times, then you would have had total victory. He said, but now you'll only strike them down 3 times. And the Lord really, this is something near and dear to my heart right now, because the Lord just keeps reminding me to ask for the more in situations where I need breakthrough or where I want to see God move. Ultimately, I find myself frequently asking just for what I need, the bare minimum for what I need. And the Lord just keeps reminding me that I need to not walk in a poverty mindset and that I should be asking for more. And the worst thing that can happen when you ask for more is that the Lord instructs you that that's not what he wants to do in that season. But even with coming on this trek, I was in this crazy place. If any of you have read my blog post, I was in this crazy place of extreme challenge and lack, because I live off of support because I'm in full-time missions, and I was in this season where it seemed like just everything was being stripped away, and in God's mercy he allowed that to happen. He didn't cause it, but he allowed it to happen, and through that process, I gained some serious perspective on faith and trust and walking with Jesus in a way that I think I just kind of leveled up in the trust division. But ultimately the Lord challenged me to ask for more. And then this trek he brought up out of the blue and fully funded. And so I literally went from a place where I couldn't buy groceries 1 week to a few weeks later having a $3,000 trek completely funded. And ultimately the Lord said none of this is going to come out of pocket, which is great because I really didn't have any money anyways. But the Lord, when we give our simple yes, when we simply walk in obedience and ultimately just give God the room to move, then he moves in radical ways. The greater the problem, the greater the miracle. And so I just want to challenge you this morning to go back to that story and really ask the Lord in situations where you've been crying out for breakthrough or for abundance, to really ask the Lord for abundance and to go after the more, because he's a good father and he wants to do above and beyond what you could ever imagine. So I just want to leave you with that this morning.